This is the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show with my good friend Gary Takas and myself, Narain Arulraja.
We appreciate your listenership, your time, and most of all, we appreciate your intention to reduce insurance dependence in your practice. Our goal is to provide information that will help you successfully reduce insurance dependence and convert your practice into a thriving and profitable dental practice that provides you with personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Welcome to another episode of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show, the official podcast of the Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy, RID.Academy. Today's topic is, are PPO plans going to be lowering your contracted fees? Are PPO plans going to be lowering your contracted fees? My name is Narain. I'm your co-host. Before we get into the topic, I have a quick announcement. On the 27th, 28th, and 29th of July, Gary will be leading the next Thriving Dentist 3-part MBA workshop. It's a three evenings, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 hours of CE. Gary will walk through the 10 elements and the 24 systems. And also there are around 11 exercises you will be asked to do to apply everything he's teaching to your practice. So if you have seats left, please go to thrivingdentist.com/MBA and sign up. We'll also put a link in the show notes. Gary, let's jump into today's topics. Yeah. I think I know the answer, but I wanted to kind of understand the mindset and what's going on. So let's jump in, Gary.
Sure. So are PPO plans going to be lowering your contracted fees? The answer is yes, they are. So if you think your fees are low now, just wait till you get the next round of reductions. By the way, this is a pattern that's been going on now for the past 9 years, and even before then. But I can give a very specific data points for the last 9 years. And it's something that is timely right now. Let's talk about this a little bit. Dental insurance companies make a massive amount of money. And the margins, their profits, the amount of money they pay their executives is quite literally obscene. Quite literally obscene. And they are gouging the PPO plans. The insurance companies are gouging the employers who purchase these policies. Now, the very first sort of organized effort in the PPO plans to reduce fees happened in 2012. And that's when Delta of Washington, WDS, Washington Dental Service, which is the Delta provider in the state of Washington, on June 1st, 2012, they sent a certified letter to all 4,000 of their members that said, due to, I'm trying to think of what the exact wording is, said something like, due to pressure from our clients, we are forced to lower your contracted fees. Effective June 15th, your fees will be reduced across the board by 15%. 15%, 15%. So the letter went out, certified June 1st. 15 days later, every provider in the state of Washington, every Delta provider in the state of Washington got their fees cut 15%, got a 15% haircut. 15% haircut across the board, every single fee. Now, if you're thinking about this, you think, well, that's not good news, Gary. Well, no, it's not good news at all. But you might be thinking, well, it could have been worse. It was only 15%. I want you to think about this.
Imagine you tell an employee, starting 2 weeks from now, you're going to get, instead of 100,000 or whatever the number is, 15% less, 85,000.
Yeah.
They're not going to stick around.
How's that going to go?
Yeah.
But, you might be thinking, well, it could have been worse. Well, it is worse. Now, let me walk you through a little math assignment. How does that affect your bottom line? The ADA, your association, says the average practice overhead is 74%. By the way, if your overhead is 74%, you're working too hard for too little. The biggest reason why your overhead is that high is because of the amount of money you're giving away to the discount, your adjustments you're giving away to the dental insurance companies. That's why your overhead is so high. Now, I'm going to use an example here and assume that your overhead is 70%. That's actually better than the ADA says it is. So I'm being conservative in my guesstimate. If your overhead is 70%, just simply do the reverse of that. What is your margin? What is your margin? Your margin's 30%, correct? 70 plus 30 equals 100. And if they cut fees 15%, and in order for this analogy to make sense, I have to assume that everyone in your practice is a Delta patient, and that's not true. That'll never be the case. However, Naren, you and I have been through a lot of work with our mutual clients recently, and what are we seeing? What percent of their patients typically have PPO plans? Is it a high number or a low number?
What we notice is, Gary, it's when they are on PPO, usually they have 75 to 80% of patients.
75, 80, 85, 90.
Yes.
Recently, we talked to one of our mutual clients, new client, that said, I'm actually very precise about this. I can tell you exactly. It's 92% of my patients have a PPO plan. Those are the kind of numbers that we see. So actually, it's not far off from 100%. But if your overhead is 70% and all of your patients are Delta and they cut your fees 15%, how does that impact your bottom line? How does that impact your bottom line?
So what was your bottom line before the fee was cut? Give me
70.
a number. 70. So if they cut the fees 15%, now instead of making 100%, I'm making 85%. So my profit goes to 15%. It becomes half.
It's 50%.
Half, yeah.
Half. So your haircut that you took, doctor, was 50%, not 15%, but 50, because remember your margin is 30%. And if they cut their fees 15, that has the effect on your bottom line that you have a 50% haircut. How do you think it would go over in your practice, doctor? If you told your team members, hey, we're really being affected by these PPO plans. And, I know your salary used to be $20 an hour, but starting Monday, it's going to be $10 an hour. That would go over horribly.
You will have zero people at the end of the day.
Zero team members, and yet that's what's happening to you.
Right.
And here's the insidious part about this. 4,000 members in the state of Washington, when they did that, 4,000 members, only 3 dentists resigned. Only 3. 2 of them were clients of mine. There was a third one that I've since discovered who that third person was. Only 3 resigned. And so you have to know that the executives at WDS were dancing in the aisles. They knew that dentists would resign. And I imagine that they forecast that more than 3 would resign when it turned out to be 3. By the way, Naren, quick math, do some quick math for me. What is 3 of 4,000?
It's less than 1/10 of 1%.
Less than 1/10. It's a rounding error. It's less than 1/10 of 1%. If they would have lost 1% of their dentists, they would have lost 40. They didn't lose 40. They lost 3. 3. Can you imagine that? 3.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And all the other Delta organizations were watching. And all the other, it's 37 Delta organizations in the country. All the others were watching, and they had to be emboldened by that result at WDS. And now that's happening it's been happening since 2012. But there's another factor here why your fees are going to be going down. And before I get to that one, I want to share something anecdotally with you. And I had Dr. Gordon Christensen as a guest on the Thriving Dentist Show, as a guest. And all of you recognize the name Dr. Gordon. He's actually a longtime friend of mine. I met Gordon and Rella in 1982, and they've been dear friends of mine ever since. And I reached out to Gordon, and I said, I'd love to have you on as a guest in the Thriving Dentist Show. He said, Gary, I'd love to. And when I talked to my guests, I said, well, what is it that you'd like to talk about? And Gordon said, well, we do this course a number of times a year called my CR Update course, Clinicians Research Update, where we report on materials and products and techniques that we know dentists are interested in. How about if I do something on the most common questions I get on my CR Update course? I said, Gordon, that would be great. I know our listeners would love it. By the way, we'll put a link in the show notes here on Less Insurance Dependence for that podcast episode. We'll put a link in there, and I'd encourage you to listen to it. If you appreciate Gordon, I know you'll appreciate the interview. And then he said, is one more thing I'd like to talk about, Gary. He said, I'd like to talk about my view, meaning Gordon's view, my view on the future of private practice dentistry. Do you think your listeners would be interested in that? Naren, what do you think I said?
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. I know they will be hovering on every word. He said, okay, we'll make those the two topics. And we did a great interview around those. The most common questions he gets at his CR updates. And then secondly, his view on the future of private practice dentistry. And anyway, I'll give you a little shortcut. I want you to actually listen to it, but I'll give you a little reader's digest.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Put a link in the show notes. So go to go to lessinsurancedependence.com. If you simply scroll down on this episode, you'll see a link to that. Click it and you'll be able to listen to it. It's free. Now, here's what he said. He said, there are two things that every dentist needs to recognize. Two realities. He said, don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just the messenger. I'm not the one making these things happen. But there's two things that every dentist needs to recognize, and especially those in private practice, that are happening in our profession. Number one, corporate dentistry will be growing. Corporate dentistry will be growing. The Western dentals, the Heartland dentals, the Aspen dentals, those are going to be growing. And he said, that's just a reality. That's the fastest growing segment in dentistry is corporate dentistry. So that's one reality. And secondly, he said, if you are a PPO provider, there's only one thing you can count on in the future, is that your fees in the future will be lower than they are now. Will be lower than they are now. Now, that for two buzzkills, Naren.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate's going to be growing, and your fees are going to be going down. Now, he immediately said, despite those two things, I think the future is very, very bright for private practice dentistry, despite those two realities. And he said, if a dentist will master their clinical skills, will deliver high quality dentistry. Secondly, if they will work on the people side of their practice, the way they connect with their patients. And third, if they can understand the fundamentals of the business side of dentistry, then the future is very bright for private practice dentistry. And I see the future even brighter than it is now, because some people will want to go to those practices. Some people are going to want to go to a practice that delivers very high quality care, that are going to be taken care of and provided a great experience by the doctor and team. And as a result, the practice is profitable so they can be there to serve their patients in the future. He said, I think the future is very bright. So anyway, I want to share that point, and I want to share that the opportunity to listen to what Gordon said firsthand. Now, let's fast forward to today and talk about why your fees are going to be going down. Companies, employers buy those policies. Employers in every market segment have been deeply affected by COVID-19, by the shutdown, by all the events afterwards, have been deeply affected. And so many companies are trying to make up the money they lost during COVID-19, whether they're in the restaurant business, the engineering business, the travel business, the rental car business, whatever. They're trying to make up money that they lost. So now you've got these executives, these benefits executives, going to Delta or Travelers or Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Concordia, whatever their PPO plan. It says, we'd like to continue with you, but we need to pay a lower premium. We can't pay the same premium we paid before. And what do you think the PPO plan says? Oh, we can help you with
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, we can help you with
Yeah.
that. And how
Because
do they do that?
they're not the one getting affected. They just cut the.
They're not going to get
you
a
know,
haircut. So
Yeah.
all they're doing is going in and lowering your fees. Here, let's say it's Amco.
Yes.
I'll use that fictitious name of a company. It's Amco Company, and the benefit supervisor from Amco, contacts their insurance company. Let's say it's Delta, and say, hey, we'd like to continue with you, but I want to pay a lower premium. The benefit supervisor said, well, we can help you with that. And they get the lower premium, and they immediately give your fees a haircut. So you're going to see these announcements coming in and the way they'll word it in the letter is they'll tell you, due to pressure from our clients. By the way, you're not the client, doctor.
Yes.
You are not the client. You're a nobody in their mind. You're a nobody. You're not the client. But due to pressure from our clients, unfortunately, we are forced to lower your contracted fees. And they're going to keep lowering them. So if you think the fees are bad now, just wait till you see the new round of fees. And those are happening as we speak and will continue to happen. If it was unviable when it was a 42% discount, imagine when it's 48%, 54%, 56%. It's even worse. Now, Naren, you're a pretty good business guy. Reflect on what I just said business-wise. Is this accurate? Are companies feeling pressure to make up money that they've lost?
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. I think, I think the world is totally changing, right? I remember the days when my dad worked for the same company from the time he was young, and he retired there. 35 years, and they gave him a nice gold pen, and he was very happy and satisfied. But that generation doesn't exist anymore, both on the company side as well as the people side. So benefits is still a relic of that generation. People nowadays take their health in their own hands. They're not happy with $1,000 coverage. I'm talking about the younger generation. If they're into health, they'll do everything for health. So I think that it's a dying thing. Of course, it's still there. It's just like, I'm sure there are still few people using CDs and watching movies on CDs. I think it's just becoming less and less and less. And how many companies offer retirement benefits after the person retires? Zero. Only like 10, 20 years ago, pretty much everybody did,
Yeah.
It's
No,
so I think
a liability that was not sustainable.
so it's just, you can't go against the trend. I think that's just the trend. It's just, you are on your own. You take care of yourself. The companies are going to do less and less.
Dental insurance is a relic. I'm going to use your term. It's a relic. And the challenge is to get out. It's a sinking ship. Dental insurance, let's call dental insurance the Titanic. It struck the iceberg. It's time to get in the lifeboat. Get out.
Because there's only 6 lifeboats. The sooner you get in the
Get in it. Because it's sinking. That dental insurance Titanic is a sinking ship. And evident by the tipping point in 2016. If you're a regular listener, you know what that tipping point is. If you're new, you might not. The tipping point is sometime during the year 2016, a massive tipping point occurred. More adults in the United States don't have dental insurance than do have dental insurance. And so that's been accelerating ever since. In the 5 years since has been accelerating ever since. So the universe of people who don't have insurance is getting larger. The universe of people that do have dental insurance is going down. It's a sinking ship. It's time to jump off that ship. It's time to be proactive about it. Captain, we'll stick with the analogy, captain your own ship, avoid the iceberg. We're the warning bells. This podcast episode is a warning bell. You're hearing the warning bells. Don't hit the iceberg, avoid it, and take control of your practice.
And I think I remember the movie, when that ship was sinking, they of course took care of their own people first. They didn't take care of the poor peasants in the back of the, ship.
Sadly, if you study, what actually happened in the Titanic, there was a disproportionate number of steerage passengers who went down with the ship. And Doctor, don't be in steerage on this one, man. Take control yourself. Well, hey, as we wrap up this episode, I want to bring it back full circle. If you're not already a member of RITA, RITA is the association, a virtual association that Naren and I started. It's the first virtual association in dentistry. We like the name RITA because we want to help you get RITA insurance. Pardon the bad pun there, but we want to help you with that. But it actually is an acronym. It stands for RID, Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy. If you'd like more information, go to www.rid.academy. Come join us. We are gifting a membership during our first year. And we might continue that. We'll see. But at least for now, membership is free, and we're building massive resources all around helping our community. This is a community of like-minded people on a similar journey. It's a grassroots movement that's growing rapidly. Come join us. We're creating all kinds of resources, and they'll help you in this journey. On that note, let me take a minute and say thank you for listening to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. Aaron and I appreciate you. If you haven't done it already, if you'd be kind enough to jump on iTunes and write us a review, that'll help more dentists find us. And remember, we appreciate referrals, just like you appreciate referrals in your practice. If you know of someone that might benefit from the Less Insurance Dependence podcast, tell them about it. We would be very appreciative of that. Hey, thank you for the privilege of your time today. We look forward to connecting with you on the next Less Insurance Dependence podcast. Thanks so much.